We assume that as Minecraft updates, the world is evolving. We get more mobs, more structures, more life. But what if we have been looking at the timeline the wrong way around? What if the updates aren't the future arriving, but the past? There's a concept in physics called entropy. It's the second law of thermodynamics. Put simply, it says that over time, things move from order to disorder. Complexity breaks down, energy dissipates. A hot cup of tea cools down, but a cold cup of tea never spontaneously heats up. The universe naturally moves toward a state of emptiness and sameness. Now look at Minecraft. If you played this game 10 years ago, you remember what it looked like. It was barren. There were pigs, sheep, zombies. The terrain was simple. The caves were empty voids. Look at the game today. It is teeming with life. Coral reefs, bees pollinating flowers, civilizations trading in villages, complex ancient cities buried underground. We usually take this as the developers added features, but look at it from inside the universe. If we apply the law of entropy, the version of the world with more life, more structure, and more complexity must be the beginning of the timeline. The version with nothing, the alpha, is the end. The theory goes like this. We aren't playing a game that is growing. We are playing a simulation that is trying to remember a dying world. Every time Mojang releases an update, they are recovering a corrupted memory of the world that used to be before the heat death took over. Let's look at the biology. That is the strongest evidence we have. In the Trails and Tales update, we got the sniffer. It's an ancient dinosaur-like creature that we have to resurrect from an egg found in suspicious sand. It digs up seeds, the torchflower, and the pitcher plant that don't naturally exist in the world anymore. Game explicitly tells us these things went extinct. So, if we follow the timeline forward, we lose the sniffer, we lose the plants, eventually we lose the coral reefs, we lose the bees, we lose the villagers. If you treat the updates as the past, you see a golden age, a world where sniffers roamed, where the oceans were colorful, and where magic was prevalent. As time moves forward towards the alpha versions, the biodiversity collapses. The water just becomes blue static, the animals disappear, only until the livestock remains. The complex cave systems collapse into simple holes. We are watching an ecological apocalypse in reverse. The additions to the game are just realizing how much has actually been lost. Then there is the architecture. Have you noticed that the newest structures added to the game are almost always ruins? Trail ruins, ocean ruins, ancient cities. They are buried deep in geology. The deeper you dig, the further back you go in time. We find the ancient city with skulk sensors, which is wireless transmission, a place we barely understand. We find trail ruins, which imply a society that had art, poetry, and culture. Now fast forward to the future, the older versions of the game. Where are the ruins? Where is the pottery? Where is the complex redstone? Gone. In the future, the world has been eroded down to the bedrock. The civilizations didn't just fall, their very bones were ground to dust. When you play on Alpha, you are standing on the dust of the ancient cities, but enough time has passed that not even the ruins remain. If you like taking these games apart and seeing what makes them tick, hitting the subscribe button helps me justify spending hours overthinking block games. It's a click for you, but it keeps the lights on here. Thanks. So, if the alpha version of the game is the bleak future, what is the end? In this theory, the end isn't a dimension you travel to. It is a point in time. It is the absolute end of the timeline, the final stop. Look at the environment. It is composed of endstone, a pale, cobblestone-like material. It floats in the void. There is no sun, there is no day or night cycle. Time has effectively stopped. The only inhabitants are Endermen, creatures that many other theorists have pointed out sound and look like distorted humans. If we follow the entropy theory, the Endermen are the final descendants of the players. The universe has collapsed, the sun has burnt out, the planet has disintegrated into floating islands in a vacuum, and the Endermen are just waiting. They move blocks around aimlessly. The Ender Dragon isn't a monster invading a kingdom. It's a scavenger picking at the bones of a dead universe. This retells why we, the player, are here. Why do we respawn? Why is the world progressive? Maybe Steve isn't a survivor. Maybe Steve is an archetype. If the world is already dead, if the true state of the universe is the alpha wasteland or the end void, the one with the cherry groves and the camels is a simulation. We are running a program to see what the world used to look like. We are injecting updates into the simulation to try and reconstruct the golden age. What did a bamboo forest look like? What did the oceans look like before the acidification? We are acting as digital archaeologists, trying to build a paradise inside a computer because the real world outside has already moved on. It's a darker way to view the game, sure. We like to think of progress as a straight line up. We like to think we are building towards something better. But there is a quiet beauty in the reverse timeline too. It makes every flower you plant, every house you build, and every dog you tame feel more important. You aren't just placing blocks, you're fighting against the entropy. You are preserving a memory of a world that was once lush and alive, keeping the lights on for just a little bit longer before the alpha fog rolls in. And maybe that's why we never really stop playing. Maybe as long as we're there, the world remembers it's alive.